Right, we're going to be trying something a bit different today. Bit different. Retro Gamer magazine published. I can't remember. Hang on, how many games did they actually list? Anyway, they've done a list of games that defined the Commodore 64 for the 40th anniversary. And they have actually done it by saying we're going to pick 5 games from each year, starting from 1982. I don't think that was a good idea, because there's more, I suppose, definitive. I'm doing the speech marks, air quotes, whatever. In 86, 85, even 83 than 1982. So I think they should have been a bit more flexible, but they chose to do it that way. I personally wouldn't have done it that way, but then it's not my magazine, is it? My magazine would be better. But anyway, let's not get into that. So for 1982, they've picked 5 games, which they're saying is like quintessentially Commodore 64. I don't know what that means. Does that mean... Oh, buddy, not near the camera, please, buddy. Does that mean that's what it was like if you owned a Commodore 64 in 1982? Or is it... This is what... I don't know how to word it, really. But you know what I mean, don't you? Is this essentially a Commodore 64 game? In which case it has to be doing something interesting with the VIC-2 and the SID chip, or the 64K of RAM. Okay, right. Anyway, let's get on with it. They've chosen Avenger, the Space Invaders knockoff by Commodore. That's one of them. And excuse me while I move my cat's bum away from the cursor keys. Hang on. Second game they've picked is Deadline by Infocom. Third game they've picked is Full Apocalypse. Fourth game they've picked is Axis Assassin. I don't know if I've played Full Apocalypse, actually. I don't know if I've played Avenger either. Definitely haven't played Deadline. But the last game is Night Mission Pinball. Now, I have played that on my SX64 yonks ago. Didn't know what the keys were, so it was a bit difficult to play. So I played at least 2 of those, because I played Axis Assassin as well, which is nothing like Tempest. It just looks like it in the screenshots. But for 1982, it's not bad. Now, the way I would look at it is, if I had a VCS in 1980, and I did have a VCS in 1980, then if I got a C64 for £399 or £449, as it was advertised in some places in the UK, the games would have to be as good as 1982 VCS games or earlier. Alright, so maybe we can't compare it to Vanguard, Phoenix. I can't remember when Star Raiders with a video touchpad come out, because I had that. I haven't quite finished my Atari VCS games list. So anyway, let's see what games were out in 1982, and you can actually see them. There you go. Right, so 3D Pac-Man, 3D Man is the same game. Adventureland, so Scott Adams text only adventure. Air Traffic Controller, Attack of the Mutant Camels, which is actually Grid Runner, Hess, where for some reason they... Anyway. Commodore's Avenger, which they have picked, and Axis Assassin. Back to Nature, which is like Frog Bog, but with pet ski graphics by Commodore themselves. Blade of Blackpool, which is, it looks like it's a graphics adventure. It's probably not going to be as sophisticated as the Infocom vocabulary and parser. There's a lot of text adventure. Right, look, let's just forget about the text adventures for now. You got Choplifter, which they did mention when they picked Thought Apocalypse. Choplifter is actually mentioned, so they did think of that. Evolution I've played. Very unusual game. Exterminator by Bubble Bus. That's a 1982 game by Ken Grant, don't you know, sir? He also did Battle Through Time and other games for Anirog later on. Fast Eddie is infuriating. That pet ski bloody Gallagher shit, I hate that. Greenhouse by Commodore. Grandmaster Chess. Well, I suppose it's better than VCS Chess, but I wasn't going for that when I was talking about VCS games. Kickman looks a bit weird. Not really sure. Maybe sort of like a bit like Breakout. I'd have to check a video on that. Another Frogger clone. There's quite a few Frogger clones actually. The only Frogger clone I would stick in any list for the C64 is Jumping Jack. I believe that's 1983 though. Jupiter Lander, ubiquitous. Le Mans, which is, I'll come back to that in a second. Motor Mania. Radar, Rat Race. Pakakuda, which is nothing like Pac-Man really. Seawolf, which I believe is paddles. Kind of like air sea battles, sort of. Serpentine, which I have never played. That's Broderbrand. Matthew Broderbrand, Wick, Brick, whatever. Yeah, see, he started that software company and then he started that. Yeah, that's not him anyway. Wizard of War, but only on the Max machine in Japan. So technically, if you could get your hands on Wizard of War, you could play it. But as the Max machine was only sold in Japan, yeah, I don't think certainly you won't be able to get it in Europe. I don't think. Maybe in the USA, Commodore did make it available. I'm not sure about that one. Someone would have to tell me about that. So let's take it from the top then. So I'd leave Axis Assassin in there. Grid Runner, which is called Attack of the Mutant Camels by Hessware on cartridge. I'd never have bought that. That's too similar to the VIC-20 game, which makes it inferior to like some good 1982 VCS games. That's just a fact. Axis Assassin is fine. Avenger, I can't have that in the list because if you're going to be playing Space Invaders at home any time in the early 80s, you're going to be playing the VCS version simply because it has so many additions and changes to the standard, boring Space Invaders gameplay that are crucial for you to actually be able to play it for 3 months while you save up for another bloody game for 30 quid. How long did that take me? 3 months basically. After I got a VCS, I had to save up for 3 months to be able to get bloody Space Invaders, so I had to play combat for 3 months. In fact, anyway, I won't pick Back to Nature. Nah, Nah, they don't really look that good. They're better looking in television games by then. Choplifter, although Choplifter is basically a Commodore 64 Apple II emulator and running their version of Choplifter, it's actually an okay game, and it's actually very bleak. You know, the grey ground, the solid black background. There's sort of like, there's a bleakness to it. Bleak house. No, our house was quite colourful. We had silver wallpaper, I believe, and there was anyway. Now Evolution, I have played that, and that is an unusual game. Actually, you know what? Let's see what we can find with that one. Let's go on. YouTube equals fucking fail. You're damn right, Mad Commodore. I agree with you, sir. Evolution. I'm just going to come up with Pro Evolution Soccer. I bet you're some shit. I knew it. There you go. Let's see what I've got to say about this one then, eh? Enough to try playing this, I suppose. That's the idea, mate. Does that say Andrew, A-N-D-R, or Annery? How far can you go? Enough to try playing this, I suppose. I had no idea this was a 1982 game. Oh yeah, I did have an idea. Ooh, I'm a genius. Development Corporation. I've never heard of them. Right, Jeff. Ah, it does say. See, all those letters are a bit dashing colours. Oh, right. What am I supposed to do then? Oh, right, okay. Hi there. Okay. You avoid getting hit by pressing the button. It's like the shield. I'll full screen it for you, don't mind. So I'm guessing we evolve to the next level just by eating. Will there be a sex scene? You can't have evolution without sex. Oh, crap. Wow, the video quality is shit. Pac-Man meets Centipede. Wow, if my kitchen was a little bit closer, I could probably run to get my Pepsi. You only drink cola now. Silly tune was over. What the hell's going on there? Where am I then? Missile command. Alright. Why am I not moving anymore? So I must, right, I guess I'm supposed to get the flies. And avoid being eaten by the fishes. It's actually quite an original game. Fuck. Since when do frogs get eaten by fucking fish? There we go. Well, I might have to play this game again, actually. Ah, they're impossible to avoid. Yeah, nah, I think we're good. Thank you, Mr. Mad Commodore. Baldrick's twin brother. Shh, don't tell anyone. Yeah, so I think Evolution has to go on the list. Exterminator has to go on the list because it's a Centipede clone. And Centipede is has got much more longevity than I was going to say Space Invaders, but not on the VCS. But we're not talking about VCS Space Invaders. We're talking about Commodore's Avenger. So Yeah, of course. This is the one. I've put the old TV that we... Oh, bloody hell. Here we go. Mr. Ken Grant, who did the most excellent... Yeah, we talked about all that, mate. He's using sprites. And in 1983, there were plenty of well-known Apple games. Right, for 1982, it's actually not bad at all. Now, I'm pretty sure 1982, Spectrum games were about £6, £5.99. Thank you again, Mr. Mad Commodore. Oh, you don't want that one. That's me editing another video. I got bored doing that and I decided I'm going to do this video again. So, right. Evolution and Exterminator have to go on the list. Le Mans has to go on the list. We'll keep Axis Assassin. I don't know what else I'd keep, actually. I'm not sure you could buy Wizard of War, certainly not in Europe in 1982. Unless Commodore actually did sell it, even though it was the original Max version. If they did sell it in a cartridge, I have actually got Wizard of War, mint condition cartridge, but I've got the later version, so I couldn't actually tell you. Yeah, so I think we'll have to go with Choplifter, Axis Assassin, or Thought Apocalypse. Let's say those two are interchangeable. Axis Assassin or Thought Apocalypse. Evolution, Exterminator, and Le Mans. Is that 5? So, we've got Axis Assassin or Thought Apocalypse. That's up to you. Choplifter, that's 2. Evolution, Exterminator, and Le Mans. I don't know if I've ever played Thought Apocalypse. Actually, that's an interesting question there, sir. No, it's one of those games that I haven't actually played. What the fuck has Commander Atari ST gameplay got to do with fucking Thought Apocalypse? Bloody YouTube shit. So yeah, that's really how I would say those are definitive C64 games, quintessentially C64. Now for 1983, I haven't really got a problem. Beachhead, that's correct. Not only is Beachhead a good game, but the C64 game with those sound effects, those planes going, and then you got the and all that piece. I need a drink. God damn it. Blue Max is awesome again. It's a great game, and the SID sound effects, the icing on the cake. Forbidden Forest has got menacing music. I've never heard menacing music on any other 8-bit system than the C64. Commodore 128 don't count. International soccer. Now, a football game is very important for any system. and international soccer in 1983, and I believe it was early 1983. That's definitely a win. But they've chosen jamming. I'm gonna have to check out a video on jamming with the sound off because I haven't played jamming before. Probably one of those 1mm cracker specials. I'm really looking for a review. If John Gage has done a review, he'd tell you if it was any good, and it'd be concise and to the point as well. But I don't think John has actually played jamming. I want to see the game ending. It's 2 long plays. They're like 9 minutes or 29 minutes. We don't want to beat it, so I want the first one. Let's go this one. But they are iconic SID sounds. Unusual game. Apart from the sound, I don't think it's as good as 1983 Atari VCS game. Myself, you can go ahead and disagree, and I can give a shit really. You know me. So 1983, 6 pages to go through. Hang on, let's just check something. Well, there we go, Jumping Jack. I said Jumping Jack has to be in any list. It's a 1983 game, and I've played Jumping Jack, and let's go ahead and see what... Well, I've got loads of videos of Jumping Jack, actually. Well, this is on real hardware, this one's 1 year ago. Let's have a look at this one. I'm gonna say Jumping Jack was probably the best game on this compilation. Probably the one I played the most. Now it's... that makes it brilliant. It's basically Frogger, but done in the graphic style of Zaxxon. Isometric to you. Frogger, which is something Sega... Stop interrupting me! Should have, but obviously they never did. And it plays really well. Yeah, I'll get on with it. 3D collision detection is spot on, which you'll probably see with all the lucky escapes I make. So you can safely jump through like the traffic. No problem there. There's no way that jamming should be on instead of that. So I let them off for the other stuff. I just done it again. Like I said, I didn't like the last video I did, so I'm doing it again. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with Jumping Jack, unless I find something even more C64 like. But Jumping Jack is... the graphics are very, very good quality Vic 2. Sprites and backgrounds. Music is classic early pre-Hubbard era. The only other game I can think of that you could replace maybe some of those is Hunchback, because Hunchback was a really good version. But this is what I'm saying. By 1983, you're getting some cracking games on the C64. You know, as the Forbidden Forest business I did for, you know, the 40th anniversary, 60-hour spectacular live premiere bullshit that only dedicated fans of my channel stuck with. We got a life, leave us alone. Yeah, anyway. That was the first arse fuck for the Spectrum. And you could argue that Blue Max is an arse fuck for the Spectrum, and so is Beachhead, and so is International Soccer, and so is Hunchback, and so is Jumping Jack, aka 3D Jumping Jack. So I don't know if I want to do any more of the years, because limiting yourself to 5 is very difficult, like 1983-84. Now, of course, Manic Miner, I have seen a cassette of Manic Miner which is copyright 1983. So that's probably the one that takes about 25 minutes to load, with a standard Commodore built-in VIC-20 style loader. And it is on here. It's going to be about page 4, I reckon. There you go, Manic Miner. So yeah, I had to check this, and yeah, it is 1983, because I found a picture of a Commodore 64 cassette, and it has copyright 1983 on that cassette, and it is for the Commodore 64, and it is software project. So yeah, I don't know, you're going to have to start making exceptions, and that's probably going to be even worse in 1984. So yeah, I can't really go any further than that. So personally, I'd have to have jamming replaced with 3D Jumping Jack and Manic Miner. You got a whole year to save up for those £8-9 games, and I believe International Soccer was $14.99 recommended retail price, which is cheap for a cartridge, because Atari Real Sports Soccer was 30 quid. I know that because I bought it. Why? I don't know why. Well, you can change which player you control, so there is that. But other than that, International Soccer is better in every other way. So yeah, nah, there's loads of games you could have for 1983, because by 1983 there are a hell of a lot of good games for the C64. And like I said, Forbidden Forest, it is out on the Atari. Blue Max is out on the Atari. Beachhead is out on the Atari. And you'd rather play the C64 version, just like you'd rather play the Atari version of Rescue on Fractalus than the C64. That's just how it is, mate. So yeah, I mean, having a look at the games they've chosen for 1984, I'll probably would only pick maybe 1 or 2 of those. The reason why I wouldn't pick Bruce Lee is because there's nothing special about the music or the sound effects, and the graphics are identical to the inferior, in terms of how many colours you can get per scan line on the screen, Atari 800 version. And Space Taxi, that's sort of 1982 quality sort of game, that is. I wouldn't put that in 1984. It's a nice enough game, it's a great idea, but the presentation is not quite Commodore standard anymore, as the late great David Ward would say. Yeah, I might watch right. And Sheep in Space, you have to have a Llamasoft game by 84, I guess. And for me, that would be Revenge of the Mutant Camels, which I'm not sure if I've actually done on my channel. Have a quick look. Revenge Camels. No, well, that's no good. What the hell does BVM 6 stand for? You spelt new wrong there, mate. Between themselves in both my HD. I think we're on the plasma here in the living room. God damn it, there's a lot of shit in here, isn't there?
So we need a tackleino now. Expert display.
Ah, this might be on the C64 full size.
Because already bought this.
I'd say this is more classic C64. There's loads of shooting, loads of sprites. Big sprites as well. Sheep in Space don't really make the most of the hardware. There's Parallax Starfield here. And it has got music. And good sound effects.
I can't remember when he actually got a C64.
I don't know if I've played Sheep in Space actually. For my channel. I did actually have Sheep in Space, but I also had... yeah, no, I haven't done it, see. Oh, look. I've played Axis Assassin. Let's have a look what I have to say about that. What's that roundabout business?
Glass coffee table. So hopefully it's more horizontal, which should give us better picture quality for the scan lines. Because if the camera's a bit cockeyed, the scan lines are going to be weird, especially if I'm recording it in 640 by 480. You have to try and get the TV and the camera at the same level.
Yeah, get on with it, mate.
They should both be perfectly level in the night.
There's a Robtech game called Roundabout.
This Axis Assassin is now making funny noises. Now play the US one version. I don't know if Jeff Minter would like this. Oh right, yeah, because obviously there's a boss at the centre of the grid.
That's interesting actually. So I quite like that. You're probably getting annoyed with this video by now, but anyway. So yeah, I can admit that you have to have a Llamasoft game in there, but I don't think Sheep in Space is the one. I think quintessentially C64 is Revenge of the Mutant Camels. It's certainly not Attack of the Mutant Camels. Quintessentially Atari 400-800 is Attack of the Mutant Camels by Llamasoft. But yeah, I had Boulder Dash. That's okay. Impossible Mission, even though it's infuriatingly difficult, it's a game that makes great use of the fact that the C64 minimum specification in 1982 was 64K RAM. No other computer had that when it was announced in January 1982. Yeah, there might have been other computers you could get 64K RAM onto, but you know, all Commodore 64 developers had the option to use up to 64K of the RAM. So there's that. I explained why I wouldn't have Bruce Lee or Space Taxi. And Boulder Dash is almost identical to the Atari version. I'd say that's more to do with 1984 8-bit gaming. That's definitive, 1984 8-bit gaming. If your parents could afford to have something more sophisticated than the ZX Spectrum, Mattel Aquarius, blah blah blah. You get the idea there. Okay, it's not going to let me change that easily. So let's have a quick look at 1984. I think Pit Stop is a 1984 game. Pit Stop 2, that is. Oh, hang on. Okay, that'll work. Yeah, Pit Stop Pit Stop 1 is okay. Yeah, but Pit Stop 2 has to be in any list. It is that simple. I think Pit Stop 2 is on the Atari and it's not as good. And there are other games, obviously. I can think of a quintessentially C64 game that's shit, and that's Havoc. You can go and check out the Spectrum version and you'll see straight away why the C64 game is quintessentially C64. But anyway, this will take a while actually, so I'm going to whiz through it. BC Bill, that's a classic C64 game. In fact, I've done BC Bill. It's part of the thing, Bo Johnny pack. Of course, it always picks up the ones. Yeah, here we go, look.
So here we go.
Great title page.
So this is an ocean, and I sort of remember how to play it.
The music is definitely standard C64 stuff.
Get rid of things. I know you have to put stuff.
There's loads of big sprites on the screen. Graphics are very standard multicolour. And it's a great game.
Completely different looking. I think that's a big up.
Yeah, that definitely has to be on the list. Like, this is what I'm saying. You can't limit yourself to 5 games in those kind of years. International Basketball is the best basketball game. You know, BC2, Grog's Revenge, or BC's Quest for Tires, they have to be in there, especially Grog's Revenge. I can see why people wouldn't pick Battle Through Time. I personally had that. I would put it in there, but yeah. And then none of these games that they've picked in 1984 are budget games. And one game, as far as budget games, early budget games that the C64 had, that you have to have on any definitive C64 list, is Munch Mania by Mastertronic. 30 quid for the Atari VCS Pac-Man arsefuck, or for, you know, basically 4 days worth of bus fare home, possibly 5, I can't remember how much it was. You could buy Mastertronic's Munch Mania, which is very, very nice for 2 quid. It's actually quite a difficult game, but cool. See, it keeps bringing up the old ones. Here guys, one on the SX64 screen, except that's Pac-Man, which we don't want. I'm sure I've done Munch Mania. This is a problem with using the crappy search that everyone else has to use. Yeah, I have played Munch Mania. Anyway, you'll have to take my word for it. It is definitely got to be on the list. And this video is starting to get long, and we've only got up to 1984. CPMX Races won't be on the list. That's a shit game. Even for 2 quid, it's a shit game. Bozo's Night Out is very weird, very quintessentially C64, but I don't know. Yeah, I had bumping buggies, but no. Burger Chase, Burger Time, or Mr. Wimpy I won't personally have in that list, because for 1984 you wanted something more sophisticated than that. Chinese Juggler would have made a great budget game, but there you go, City Fighter. City Fighter and Munch Mania, they've got to be in there as like, you know, £2 specials that you've got to have. They're classic C64 games. C64 budget games for 1984. Let's see what else we get in here then. Not really a fan of the cut. Daley Thompson's Decathlon. How can you not have Daley Thompson's Decathlon? You have to have that. You know, if you're American, then Activision's Decathlon. If you're from the UK, it's got to be Daley Thompson's Decathlon. But one of those joystick wagglers has to be in there. Death Star Interceptor on the C64 is shit. Drop Zone is another Atari port job. Eagle Empire. That probably should be on there because, you know, it's basically the reason why you bought a C64. That's this definitive thing, because it's like a great copy of Phoenix the arcade game, but for 22 quid less than the Atari VCS official port on cartridge. And as it's a single load cassette, you can't really moan about loading times. Falcon Patrol. I forgot to mention that should be in 1983 for the amazing movie quality sound effects. That's just it's so atmospheric. Maybe the graphics are like, you know, not the best in the world for 1983. They're not Commodore standard anymore, but the sound effects are brilliant. I think Skyfox is 1985. I'm not sure actually. No, I didn't want to do that. Right, okay. I had Ghost Chaser and I didn't like it back then. Very similar to the Atari game. Guardian. Guardian is a brilliant Defender knockoff, but I suppose 1984, did I really want a Defender knockoff? I did like it back then. I had Gyropod, I thought that was okay, but... Hero. You got to have Hero. Hero's got to be in any definitive C64 gaming list. Havoc for the wrong reasons. Those sound effects are just amazing, and you know, the 320 by 200 high-res graphics with all those colours on there because of colour RAM, that's quintessentially C64. That defines a C64. But not Henry's House, because that's very similar to the Atari game. Oh look, these are Humpty Dumpty games. I got Impossible Mission already on the list. Interdictor Pilot was shit, but the case it came in was impressive. I'd personally put International Basketball in there because people still wanted sports games. When did Summer Games 2 come out? I thought the events of the original Summer Games weren't quite as impressive as Summer Games 2. Yeah, Summer Games 2 is 1985. Of course, I ain't got any fucking memories of Summer Games 2 anymore. Thanks to the selfish cocksuckers who thinks it's fucking annoying to wear a face mask. Well, fuck you. I hope you get monkeypox and you all die, you cocksuckers. Loco is a classic C64 type game. Although it could be a bit samey after a while. I think by 1984 you want actually something that starts to make use of the fact that all C64 games can have 64K of memory available to them. Monty Mole, I loved Monty Mole, and it's a classic C64 game. The Spectrum version has no music, and there's no scrolling on it, and the C64 version is the exact opposite. So that is, you know, definitive C64 game, I'd say. You know, we talked about Mania already. Let me just check something to do for the Hobbit. See, the disc version is the one you want. The tape version is shit. And that's 1985. So, but the graphics are really nice. They're like high res with colour ramp style kind of thing, or Spectrum graphics if you want to call them that. Except the Spectrum is a 32 column machine with 24 rows, and the C64 is a 40 column machine with 25 rows. One on one, I actually had one on one. It's a shit game. Yeah, things like Panic Planet, Pedro, I wouldn't really have in a list. Yeah, we've said Pit Stop 2 has to be in there. I don't know about Popeye. The only thing definitive about it is how bad the Parker and Atari soft cartridge games were on the C64, based on the technical abilities of the machine. Now you have to have Quo Vadis in there, because Quo Vadis is a huge game. And it has lots of multicolour mode, like blocky graphics as people like to call it, and there's loads of sprites for you to do stuff, and it has great music with filters on and off and nice explosions. But basically it's the fact that such a huge game will only fit inside something with 64K. That's why there's no other version at the time. The BBC had 32K, the Spectrum had 48K. In fact, Manic Miner is pretty much using all the memory of the 48K Spectrum. So we could have had the famous waterfall level that Matthew Smith had to take out if he'd written it. So, well, I've never played Revenge of the Phoenix. Revenge of the Mutant Camels, we've said, is in there. Now, I'm not picking games that are like particularly good. They have to advance the art of making C64 games, or be a perfect replica of an arcade game, like, Eagle Empire by Alligator. Space Pilot, you have to have Space Pilot though. Time Pilot was a big thing. Everyone loved Time Pilot. We all used to play it in the arcades. It was a lot of fun, and to have a good version on your home system. BBC Micro had a version, although it wasn't by Kingsoft. Yeah, I'd go with that. Star Trader. Star Trader is very much, a C64 game, the way they've done it. In fact, we'll look that up. Well, they've got Super Zax in here, which I don't like the graphics on. Tales of the Arabian Nights and Tapper, they're quintessential C64 games, because of the way they've been converted, and there's loads of levels on both, so I'd have them in there too. I can't remember what Tournament Tennis plays like. Well, apart from the Doppler effect that they have on the noise of the cars going up and down the road in Trashman, I wouldn't say that's quintessentially C64. Twin Kingdom Valley, I don't know. Graphics are a bit rubbish on that. I had Up and Down. I like Up and Down. It's not that different to the Atari version though, which is a 32K spec, I think, or it might even be cartridge based and run on a 16K machine. World Cup Football by Arctic. We played that already. Zaga mission has to be on there. Because it's like, it's a kind of thinking man's version of Zaxxon, which you wouldn't get on a console. And the helicopter sounds like, you know, the propeller. They're very SID. So yeah, quite a lot of games. Whether I could whittle them down to 5, not bloody likely. I still can't remember where I heard that from. But yeah, you get the idea. That's what I think. You know, games that defined the C64 from 1982. Surprisingly, there are 5 that are like pretty good. To 1984. Would I do another video? You must be joking.